We have talked on the online outsourcing last time, and there is a video actually on the sharing economy where certain sites that are talking on the online outsourcing cases, freelance labor cases, usually the known ones like Uber and Airbnb, and there are also some experimental ones, which unfortunately don't exist in Utah, where I lived before Cyprus, and Cyprus, where I'm living now, Northern Cyprus at least. So I really like to try different online services I can buy, especially when those online services connect me and someone living nearby me. Well, for example, besides the houses you can rent, it might also be possible that a person who is living in an apartment, like everyone else, might prepare a dinner, a special night of dinner for someone else again, or a tour, walking tour, for example, a touristic guide to become your tourist guide. But I could not buy those services basically. Although I have tried Uber and Lyft actually, and also Airbnb a lot. And also, of course, there is a small part where sharing economy is criticized. Although you don't see the full critique of the sharing economy, you might say actually even the name sharing is actually might be to some extent misleading. There is an actual sharing economy. Where, for example, there's a site called, I don't know whether it is functioning or not, but there was a site called Couchsurfing where basically you could go to someone else's house and stay there for free. But in case of Airbnb, of course, you are buying the accommodation from another person. It's not free. So in a sense, it's not sharing, but in other sense, it might be. It is called sharing because it's my personal house. It's not a commercial place which is built for for potential visitors' accommodation. But for money I got, I'm sharing my personal house with the with the visitors. So in a way, well, a commodity which is created for consumption of myself, a single person, is shared with someone else for some money, basically. Of course, whether sharing can be done when money is involved is a question that could be asked. And there are a whole bunch of other questions with the sharing economy also, just like with the freelance labor. So the other question, sectoral distribution of the workforce, I have already told you that when agriculture is the primary sector usually, especially all the way up to last 20th century. You might say it was a dominant sector for most countries, except maybe some small city-states. But when productivity in agriculture has increased sufficiently, countries could switch from agriculture. Workforce of countries might switch from agriculture to industry. And even in the agricultural sector, more goods might be produced, not for feeding people, but also for produce clothing, like cotton, for example, or even for other sectors, basically, like, for example, creating, I don't know, perfume or some some colors for the painting, basically. And when economy develops further, we might assume, well, industrial production is above a certain point, although in some cases it might be possible that, industrial production might not be that much developed, but it might be imported, and the country might be in the context of world economy develop service sectors more than industry. But in general, you might assume that after a certain satisfaction of the industrial goods, after industrial availability of the industrial goods satisfied people, service sector starts to develop, and as a result, more and more people might shift to the service sector. But there becomes the question: well, what are the characteristics of jobs these sectors are providing? I mean, in a very rough sense, it is not that bad to, whatever sector is more needed or demanded, that sector might start to develop and other sectors might start to shrink. But can we say more or less the products that are provided by these sectors are more or less, or the jobs that are provided by these sectors are more or less the same? Agriculture was mostly the sector where the workload was pretty much dictated by the weather. Currently, maybe there are some agricultural, new agricultural techniques which actually make production available for longer periods of the year, which turn agricultural jobs to relatively more continuous jobs. But all these methods are also questioned. Whether they are producing really good quality agricultural products with quality. Industrial sector, actually, before the industrial revolution, it was based on order. Someone orders production of something, and actually, you will only need to work a lot when a lot of orders come to you. But as industry has developed, and a factory can sell, for a factory it becomes possible to sell its products to different locations in the country, and even in future to different locations in the world. Now industrial production could be done in masses. You produce a lot of things and you continuously sell what you produce. That's the case. In that case, actually, industrial sector can provide jobs, which might make the workers work for standard hours, initially even as much as they can, 12 hours, 13 hours, maybe then fall to 10 hours, then 8 hours. But they continuously, the labor power is continuously demanded in the factories. Especially, it is assured that what is being produced is also sold continuously. Service sector might be in some cases different. For example, when you think on a restaurant, when restaurant is empty, in that case, what kind of service job is needed continuously there? Is there any service job needed continuously in the restaurant, even if the restaurant is empty, for example, for 2 hours or 3 hours in the day? Maybe cleaning, but even that clinic might not be demanded that much. You cannot necessarily cook the meals and store the meals and then cook them again. Although, some restaurants might use frozen meals, but those meals are produced by the industry, not the service sector, basically. So maybe the transportation between the restaurant and the industry might be done by the continuously by. You might also think the transportation sector as a transportation part of the company, part of the service sector, and that might be done continuously, maybe even when there is no customers. There can be regular orders every day distributed to different locations continuously. But service sector in general very much depend on the customers, and the customers, whenever the customers require those services are done. Services cannot be stored, basically. You cannot store a healthcare service, you cannot store a restaurant service, you cannot store I don't know, education service. Maybe actually you can maybe store as an education service, but in this case, uh, am I storing education service now when I'm taking this video? Maybe I am, but you might also think that I am actually um, I am actually storing an education material, not a service. So in order to have this as an education service, maybe it should be it should I should directly play a role to lead my students to use this material, which is a lecture, uh, to improve their knowledge on the global labor market, or their ability to work on the global labor market data or topic, basically, discover it further. They're able to discover it further. So, as a result, I mean, service jobs has been more unreliable jobs, where I mean, the and they might, especially when a working pool is available from which they can regularly pull people in and out, they might just, I mean, even if they have a relatively permanent people, permanent means, I mean, they hire and don't immediately fire. They might just decide, I mean, they might just vary how many hours and at which hours each person will work, and even I mean that, which might mean that even that might change your whole schedule of the of that week. In some cases, including the nights. I mean, you might just find out your Tuesday is free, and on this last Sunday, or you might just find out your Wednesday night is occupied in, just again on the Sunday. Um, and of course, ideally, this might also create flexibility, because I mean there are people needed, and you might, I mean, if workers can organize, maybe they can direct more people. I mean, everyone might, from the available positions, they might basically choose the ones which they are most suitable for them, and they might even state, I mean, which time periods are more suitable for them for work. But if workers have low bargaining power, this might not be the case, and it might very well be possible that the employers might basically tell when the workers should work. But as an interesting case, I mean, unlike agricultural and industrial sector, service sector brings the workers face to face with their customers. As I said, actually, this is the case for the self-employment freelance labor in many cases, but this is actually this might also be extended to the whole service sector. Even if I am working at the kitchen of a restaurant, I am much closer to the customer compared with the case when I am working in the Mercedes factory, which may sell its car to overseas, actually, to the customers at our other side of the world. And that's another characteristic of the service sector, and in what ways it is changing the experience of the workers is a question you might ask, basically. And as many other questions, I'm leaving that question also unanswered. We can go to the labor mobility. Basically, we start looking to the labor mobility case, and basically this is the simplest graph of labor mobility, which takes, of course, labor mobility in most simplest case, all workers are equal to each other, and this is marginal productivity of labor in different countries. When all workers are at some place, marginal productivity of the workers in that place is low, and marginal productivity of the workers in the other place will be high, because there are no workers there. And the explanation of labor mobility will be from based on this model. We will talk more on this in the next part.